All right. We are recording. Nice to see you, Jesse. Uh, nice to see you as always, Chiz. We're going to have a conversation today about publishing. This series of videos that we've been doing, we've covered different aspects of what it has taken Chiz to write a book, why Chiz has written a book. And Jesse, welcome to our little conversation about how Chiz is publishing a book. Um,
Thank you
Maybe
so
you could
much.
just introduce yourself a little bit and tell us a little bit about Page Two Publishing.
Thanks, Nina. And thank you, Chiz, for this invitation to speak to both of you. So I've been a book person my whole life. I've worked in publishing my whole life, and I've been co-running Page Two with co-founder Trina for about 12 years. And at Page Two, we publish authors who are changing the conversation in their field. And that's a really important way of um, framing the way we see our authors, because it goes way beyond making a contribution. You're really actively creating change and changing the way that people think about things. So this is, very clearly where we see Chiz as well, and where his book fits in the landscape in such a unique and differentiated way. We can see how he's been creating change for so many years in the work he does, and we want to ensure that his book reflects that and is a really beautiful testament to that. So we work with authors of nonfiction who are publishing books as an extension and an expression of what they do in the world, whether it's through work, philanthropic endeavors, things that people are actively engaged in. And we have been doing that joyfully for well over a decade, and are so excited to be partnering with Chiz on his imminent launch.
And is it normal? Is this the way publishing works? I know that it's been a very malleable landscape, the way that books get published, the way that people seek out publishers and get their books into the world. This idea that you are seeking authors who are also change makers, is that typical?
It depends on you know where you're coming from. If you are looking at the history of publishing, which most people don't, because why would you? But a nerd like me, I've studied the history of publishing, and actually Page Two's model it harkens back to the way in which book publishing often was done
Mhm,
in the past, since really the invention of the printing press.
mhm,
Idea of authors who had a mission and a mandate and something to say, and who didn't, there wasn't necessarily an established group of publishers who would then take them on and, then go at their discretion and publish them the way they wanted to.
mhm.
Authors would find a way to produce, effectively be self-producers, and to build the team that they needed, if I can put it that way,
Mhm.
in order to get that done. But what we saw over, certainly this century and the past century, we did see publishers emerge, what we would call traditional publishers, emerge as a class of um, gatekeepers, if I can put it that way. The people who had access to the distribution methods to get books into the world. And then it became more common generally for authors to need to pitch themselves to those publishers, and then for those publishers to decide who gets published and who doesn't.
And as the gatekeepers, obviously they have their own self-interests at heart,
That's right.
which in the grand scheme of things is profits.
Sure. And legitimately so. That's the business model. They're in the business of selling books through bookstores, whether
Mhm.
virtual or in real life. And that's great. And I worked in that system for the better part of 15 years, and loved it. Um, but now I think, particularly due to technological change, we have so many different ways of publishing, just as we have so many different ways of reaching audiences in every other medium. You know, if you're an independent filmmaker, let's say, or you're a musician or what have you, we can find ways of reaching new audiences without necessarily needing to go through gatekeepers per se. Doesn't mean it's easy. You still need to make great work and to find great partners to work with in order to do that. But Page Two was really founded in that spirit of wanting to support authors who wanted to have a lot of agency in the process. So our model is a little bit different from the traditional licensing model, which you find in traditional publishing, where the author kind of provides their manuscript, and then the publisher takes charge and takes over and does their thing. And at Page Two, we've abandoned the licensing model. We work in a service model, fee for service model, and our authors earn the lion's share of the revenue, and our authors also retain the rights to their work. So that all sounds like, that's business model stuff and a bit nuts and bolts, and not necessarily heading into the visionary stuff we really want to talk about today. But I mention there's something foundational, I think, about the people who are attracted to this model. To
Mhm.
my mind, it feels like a very meaningful partnership, and one that is really well suited to people who are leaders and entrepreneurs, and who are really great at partnering in order to create a result that's even better than each of those parties could imagine before they entered into it.
Well, and it's just a small part of the Quiet Champions team. I will say that it has felt really meaningful,
Oh,
and that our team working with your team has felt very synergistic and really collaborative. And I mean, it's just been a joy. In fact, as a business, we have been watching your business and looking at ways that, oh, look at the way they do this. We could do that better on our side. It's been a really exceptional experience. Um, so
yeah.
thank you for that. Um, and Chiz, how did you and Jesse end up in conversation? How did this synergy come about?
Are you going to tell the real story, Chiz, or do I get to tell that? Doesn't
Well, I
reflect
can. Why
really.
don't I start and then you can finish because it's a mystery about what happened on the other side of the veil.
Yeah.
So, what I didn't realize is that you don't just write a book, you write a book like 17 times over, and then you like say, okay, how are we going to get this published and make it official? So, I had originally reached out to an agent. This is all brand new to us, so I didn't really know. The more we talked, the more there was more potential to work with someone like Page Two. So I did reach out through the website, and I'm hoping I will meet her someday. But the receptionist kind of said, I'm so like within 20 minutes,
Oh, good.
like it was immediate, which was super helpful. It's just that the message was, it was very transparent. She said, we have another author working on a book about mentorship, and what we don't do is kind of double up. And so I'm so sorry, but we will not be interested in your book at this time.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye. And then an alternative, I don't know what happened. Then I got a call from Jesse.
So, so we do personally review submissions that come in. And the person who reviewed yours initially, her name is Jay.
Yeah.
She's our office administrator, and she had reviewed, and she sent the submission to me because she could see that it's exactly the kind of book we love to publish with from the kind of author we love to work with, despite the fact that she knew about the competitive book, or supposed competitive book, on our list. And so she sent it to me, and I took a quick look, and I thought, oh, darn, because it did look directly competitive, even to the point of some of the language and terminology. And we do like to be responsive. We do like to respond quickly. We don't always achieve it with that level of speed. I'm surprised and delighted to hear that it was that fast on our end. But it it was we are very protective of our authors and our list, and it's really important to us that we're never in a position of telling one of our existing authors, this book kind of looks like yours, but don't worry, it's really different. And we want to make sure that all of our authors complement each other, and don't compete. So we made a fast call. And then we have an author who is a friend of yours, Chiz,
Mhm.
and a great supporter, who wrote a really kind note and just said, could you look again? It's worth it. And I will always listen to one of our existing authors when they ask me to do that. Absolutely. So I looked again, and we kind of stood on our heads and thought, is there a way? And sure enough, right around that time, I checked in with the editor for the other project, and it turned out that that book was going through quite a transformation, and they had actually shifted even the target audience demographic quite considerably, such that the book now is utterly complementary to yours and not competitive. But I didn't know that in that moment, because
Mhm.
they were deeply engaged in the editorial work. And so our that author's comment prompted me to go to take a closer look, and then to take another look at the other book, and then to ask you for a meeting. And I'm glad that you didn't hold it against me, that we had initially said no thank you, and we were able to dig in. And that differentiation has further been amplified through the framing and naming of your book as well, Chiz, and the fact that, of course, some of the terminology that we're ultimately using, including the quiet champions terminology, is different from where you began. Not radically so, but certainly
Totally
different
is.
enough that now these are two, jewels in the crown. These two books that can sit together beautifully.
Mhm.
Nice.
And Shiz, I think when you started out, you alluded to this, that like you don't just write a book. You thought that the writing of the book was the process, but it turns out that it's just a part of the process, that actually the publishing of the book, which involves editing and everything else, is a process in and of itself. And that process, while it doesn't sound inherently creative, has been really creative
Oh,
and
super.
has allowed for all of this new, incredible work to surface. Tell us a little bit about that.
No, it's actually the just having Jessie on the screen with all of those books behind her. The thought that has been kind of front and center is I am an individual. Nina, you know more than anybody. I can be a real piece of work, like I'm sure most of your authors are. I don't want to drag them all into this. So, page two has this process that is definitely creative. I would even say transformational for my book. I mean, it went from here to here because of the different team members that you had involved and the steps. What's amazing to me is that the process and the team that you've created can serve such a wide range of characters,
Mhm.
let alone content. Like the content obviously is all over the place too, but
Yeah.
the characters, like even this other author that you mentioned, character, like they're characters, right? I think this is the club that I'm most keen on getting into. I hope Jay will accept my application. But
You're in. You're in.
yeah, no, I think it's remarkable that you can take creative people through a creative process that gets you something that is kind of viable at the end. Like it's amazing. It's an amazing. It's changed me. It's made me working with your editors and the account manager and the designers. It's made me a better person, let
Wow,
alone the book. Like it's been so good.
that's tremendous. Uh,
Well, and we get the feeling that the process is very structured, and yet you're working with creatives.
yeah.
So I'm curious, how do you marry those two things? How do you have a process with the people on your team sort of piloting that process
Yeah.
and getting folks like Chiz through the process intact.
I have to say, first and foremost, that we learn from you. So I think our team is one of the reasons they're attracted to working at a place like Page Two, where we do things differently, is that they're interested in growth as a team and growth as individuals. So can you imagine, I mean, all these incredible people behind me on this shelf behind me, represented through their work. And Chiz, I can't wait for your book to sit there. It'll be under C, just so you know. Um, can you imagine what it's like supporting moments of transformation for all of those people, and particularly as we talk about leadership, particularly people who are the world's top leadership experts.
Mm.
um, it's extraordinary and sometimes daunting, to be honest. I feel as a leader myself, I'm standing on the shoulders of giants here, and I have a lot of humility around topics of leadership, because I know how much I know now and how much there is to learn from all of you. So we learn from your work, Chiz. We've learned so much through Quiet Champions and the subject matter itself, but also the way that you lead us and the way you partner with us. One thing I can say that is very common at Page Two, among Page Two authors, and we do seek this out, um, is the fact that you know how to partner. You know how to get the most out of partnerships, no matter who you're working with. So you leave room for us to step in and make suggestions and recommendations. You know that we're on your side, on your team. Even if there are moments where we might disagree, this is a real conversation. This is not, we're not a vanity press. We're not here to just tick the boxes for you. It's much the opposite. We want the absolute best for you, all of us as a team. And so it does create a real conversation that we feel yields the best result. But it's because you lean into that partnership and give us the opportunity to step into our full expertise, as well.
Mhm.
And I think about some of the parts of the process that are representative of this. I think of a conversation we had, um, together over drinks and food about your title. And we had,
Lost.
I'll leave it to you to share any stories you want about that whole process. But we had several beautiful, juicy titles on the table. Quiet Champions. My initial reservation about that, and a few others on the team shared this, is that the quiet aspect of that might underplay the intense power of your work. And we wanted to make sure that we were not undermining that. So we had a whole conversation about that and what that means to you. And when we go in as a team in the spirit of honoring the author's market intelligence, we know books, but you know your reader. You've been working with them for years and years and years. And so together we create, I think, the best possible result. I really heard you on why Quiet Champions was the absolute best title. And as we, through that conversation, I got right there, and I'm really, really pleased and proud with that, proud of that result.
It is title. The cover design was another example, but I felt myself, becoming attached to what I wanted.
That's right.
I mean, the original title was Mentor's Way.
Yeah.
And then we realized that Mentor's Way didn't work, which became a great line in the book.
Yeah.
And I got so attached to Athena's Way. Like, I damn near got a tattoo.
Yeah.
I was so locked into that. And, but I also really respected the people that you had around the table to say, we're just not sure. We're not sure. And it was Emily, the first editor, who kind of
Mm,
said, here's a line in the book about quiet championing, which
mm.
I hadn't even noticed.
Right.
And she just wondered. And it took me about 2 seconds to think about all of the people that I was writing this book for, and like was unattached to anything I'd thought about before and was ready to kind of trust the team and go forward together with something new, which now I just can't imagine it being
Yeah,
called anything else. Like it's taken on
totally.
a life of its own.
Same.
Yeah, it's so good.
It is so good. And now that we see it all come together as well,
Yeah,
the text itself, the integrity of the book, the way that that holds together, the messaging. I love how you framed that Emily, really our best work is done when we're just reflecting the best of you back to yourself,
right.
right? You had the language, it's all in you. You had that phrase, the terminology, and it's Emily's job. And I'm so glad she does it so well you said she
So
won
good.
the querying, the wondering.
She just wondered. I wonder
We
if this would
Yeah,
Mhm.
boing.
sense of wonder with respect to our authors.
So
It's
good.
wonder and awe. And now that I see that the cover, the title, the manuscript all come together, it is exactly who and what it was destined to be. It is a bit like baby naming, I have to say.
Yeah,
It's like,
no,
you
definitely like
wonder, you
baby.
might have radically different ideas. And then that baby just grows into this person. You're like, it was always you.
Right.
Mhm.
Wow.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Um, we have book launches coming up. We're talking, what is today? August 19th. And our book launches will begin on October 23rd. So about 2 months. And there's a whole other process. Like there's the writing of the book, there's the publishing of the book, and then there's the like putting the book out into the world and getting it into people's hands. And your team has been exceptional at guiding us through and providing us with the resources we need to do that, hopefully well, and in a very authentic way that feels true to how Ian and Roy Group would be putting a book out into the world.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm just curious, uh, like when you think about that aspect of this process, do you have advice for us? Is there anything that you would suggest that we do or not do?
Mm. Yes, I do. I mean, you already know this, but you're playing the long game. And this book is such a beautiful, now will become such a beautiful cornerstone of your work, your business. It's an expression of all of those things, an expression of you. It's a work of legacy, but it will, I trust, will also anchor new opportunities as well. And so, if we think, and especially the book, the way that you've done it, Chiz, this is a book for the ages. You are uh, you are working with evergreen principles and expressing your take on them in a way that, to the point of your subtitle, a way forward for mentors in turbulent times. I think we're pretty assured we can call these turbulent times sort of indefinitely. I won't try to predict the future, but this book is going to be even more necessary in the months and years ahead. I have a vision of giving it to my own children, young adults, to help anchor and guide them. And so I think if you can think of it that way and keep that in your mind all the way through the coming weeks and months, which they are going to feel really intense regardless. The book launch timing is really critical. We all know that it's really helpful to use the momentum that you can gain through the newness of the book. That
Mhm.
it's really important. And I will never underplay that either. But I would say to you and to any author in your position writing this kind of evergreen book that this is just one moment of time and you don't have to do all the things all now.
Mhm.
Um, no, one of our authors, April Dunford, is a marketing expert, and she has this awesome phrase that I repeat all the time called rolling thunder for marketing. And it's just, you can think about the way that you promote the book over time in those sort of waves, right? You can have a huge wave when the book launches, But anything that you feel, "Oh, we can't do right now, we don't have the time, we don't have the budget," whatever it is, just note everything, and there will always be a time or a place, probably, and it will be sort of like the earlier part of our conversation. You'll be saying, wow, I'm glad we didn't use that tactic a year ago, because now there's a whole new set of considerations in the world that I can speak to, and I can put this at the forefront of whatever the topic is and remarket the book from that perspective. So just give yourself time and take a breath and really
Takes so
engage.
much pressure off.
Good, I'm glad.
Let's take the day off, Nina. Rolling thunder.
Right? It's great. I love April, and I love her for that,
Nice.
as well as many other things.
Cool.
That is actually very timely advice for us.
Super timely.
I'm so glad, because I know you're going to work hard anyway. You're not going to just then, okay, you might, I hope you take this day off, but I know you're still going to work really hard on the launch, and I have no doubt that it will be successful. But I hope that you can know that those other moments can be just as helpful. We have authors whose books um, have achieved great things months and even years down the road, and we hear from them all the time saying, this book got into the hands of this person at this company who brought copies for everyone, and they this launched a whole new program, allowed me to launch a whole new program that I hadn't even considered before.
So
and
fun.
and that kind of tracks us back to your question that I think I haven't quite answered yet, about the doors that the book can open. What else? Or this was a question I think you asked me earlier. What else? What other doors can books open for you? There are the really unpredictable ones. I predict a lot of unpredictable results. Just easy for me to say, but I love hearing from authors who will tell me. I'm thinking of a recent example who said, I have just, I've just gotten a speaking agent for my speaking business who's going to help take that part of my career to the next level, because they like the book so much, and that really helped give me the authority that I needed to make that next step. Those kinds of things might happen in ways that you can't predict, and then there are other things I know that you're doing very deliberately to leverage the book for those opportunities as well. So I think both of those things can and will happen.
Fun. Heads up. Unpredictable opportunities.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
what we needed.
Turbulent times. I'm thinking of good ones, good
Oh, yeah.
opportunities.
No, they're
Yes.
all good.
I mean, I love a plan, if only so that we can alter it along the way. So,
Exactly. Exactly.
yes. Jesse, any parting words, any bits of wisdom as we wrap up this video piece?
Um, I I would say so many of our authors are humble, and I would never talk anybody out of humility. That's one of the beautiful things that infuses this work and this book. And I know all of the work that you do at the Roy Group, that's at the heart of your philosophy, part of the heart of your philosophy of mentorship and leadership, Chiz. And now that you are an author, I would also challenge the concept of humility for the sake of it. It's people really want to hear from you. They want the point of authorship is that you are an authority on this subject. And I would say, do not hesitate to be very bold and assertive in promoting the book and taking that authorship to heart. We want to hear from you. And people are going to be needed. We need to remind people to champion the work as well. Everyone around you, everyone who comes across the book is going to feel that love and that philosophical alignment. I just know that. I have absolutely no doubt that people will love this book and be transformed by it. But then engaging people to help you promote it. And this is true of any author, whether you've published 20 books or none. People are busy. And so we need to give them all the tools and the reminders to go and write that review for the book online, or to post it to their networks as well, to help get the word out about this incredible message and mission. So I know at page 2, we're going to be reminding you of all the ways to do that. Don't be shy. Don't stand behind the curtain. I'm not too worried about you in that respect, but also just go for it and really stand on that platform that you've built. Your audience needs and wants that.
Yeah. We've been saying all along that we only have, like you mentioned, the rolling thunder, that there will be lots of opportunities. Some we don't even have the ability to conceive of yet. But in terms of launching the book into the world, we get one chance to do that.
Yes.
And so we are working with your team and our team to try and do that well. And I think what I hear you saying is that we should be looking for quiet champions to have some not so quiet champions.
That is beautifully said. I wish I had thought of that. Well done. That's exactly what I'm looking for.
Without going to the extent of becoming a loud loser, because the world has enough
No
of those right
hashtag
now.
loud losers.
I'm not, that's another thing I'm not worried about in your community. I just can't see that happening. Let me know if it does. I'll be shocked.
So good.
Yeah.
We look forward to seeing you at the Vancouver launch event and to connecting between now and then as well.
I can't wait. I'm so grateful for this opportunity to talk with you both, and I will be a very noisy champion for this book,
Nice.
let me tell you.
Excellent.
Ruckus.
For
Ruckus.
time to come. Yeah.
Thanks so
Wonderful.
much,
Thanks
Jesse,
so
for
much,
everything.
Jesse.
Thank you very much.
Ciao.